Hello everyone, it's Haresh here. In today's video, we're going to be learning about something that we learned in the last video where it was addition and subtraction, but in this video, we're going to be learning on how to multiply and divide actually, and simplify the expression. So let's look at this first example. The thing that we have to realize about when we're multiplying and dividing is that it's not the same as adding and subtracting. When it was for adding and subtracting, the base had to be the same, as well as the exponent had to be same in order to add or subtract. But well, in a multiplication and division, actually only the base has to be the same. The exponent can be any number. So let's look at this first example. And remember, the rule is the base has to be the same. The base meaning the variable, you can say like any letter of the alphabet, anything really. So in this example, we have an x squared, or x to the raised to the power of 2, and we have y raised to the power of 2. X and y are not the same variable or same term, so we cannot multiply these two. So out of all, this example we cannot do. Let's try the next example. We have x raised to the power of 2, and we have x raised to the power of 3. We have a common base of x. So at this time, we can start by simplifying this expression. And in multiplication, how we simplify is if the base is the same, we add exponents. So that would mean that x squared plus x to the power of 3 would get added. So that would mean that x squared plus 3 would give our final answer. So that would mean that 2 plus 3 is x raised to the 5th power. So remember, in multiplication, we add exponents when the base is the same. Let's try another example, but this time we're looking at division. So remember, the rule is the base has to be the same. In this case, we have an x in the numerator, and we have a y in the denominator. X and y are not the same variable. So that out of all, this whole example, we cannot simplify. This is the furthest it can be simplified. Let's try one more example. Now we have y raised to the second power divided by y raised to the third power. Y and y are the same variable, so we can simplify this expression. And remember, in multiplication, we're adding exponents, but in division, we're subtracting exponents. So what does that mean? That the exponent on the bottom, right, as long as the variables or the base are the same, we can subtract exponents when we're dividing. This is multiplying when we're dividing. So let's try this. This number or this exponent in the denominator would move to the numerator, and we would subtract exponents just like how we added exponents right here. So let's try this. We're going to move this y raised to the third power to the top. So we're going to get y squared minus y cubed. Since the base are the same, I don't really have to rewrite the base. So what we're going to get is So what we're going to get is when we move this term to the top, we're going to have to replace it with a 1. So let's try this. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So y to the negative 1 divided by 1. Why? Because we move this placeholder to the top. So you have to replace it with the 1. And remember, there's also an imaginary 1 here as well. This y is also having an imaginary 1, but where we don't talk about. So let's try and let's simplify this further actually. People don't like working with negative numbers, right? Negative numbers are weird. People really don't like working with negative numbers. So we're going to try and remove the negative actually. So the way we move the negative is move this whole term back to the bottom. We move the entire term back to the bottom. So by moving back to the bottom, what we're doing actually is we're dividing this by itself. So we're doing 1y negative 1 divided by y negative 1 to move it to the bottom actually to make it a positive exponent. Remember, there's also an imaginary 1 here, so we're going to keep this 1 at the top. And we're going to divide by, there's also 1 here, divide by y to the exponent of negative 1. And what that does is that cancels out the exponents. So this is going to turn into a positive 1 actually. And this one, we don't have to rewrite it because it's bad form. So our final answer is going to be 1 divided by y. So we don't write this positive 1 because isn't it just y by itself? So let's try one more example now. So in this example, we can see that we have x raised to the second power and y raised to the second power divided by x raised to the sixth power and y raised to the sixth power. So see how this is going to play out. So the first step is to move all the terms in the bottom to the numerator and subtract, right? We're multiplying, we're adding exponents, and dividing, we're subtracting exponents. So whenever you move anything to the top, we're going to have to rewrite it with the 1 on the bottom. So what we're going to get is x squared minus 6. Then we're going to get y squared minus 6. And that's all going to get divided by 1 because we moved it to the numerator. So what's our next answer? Well, we're going to simplify this further. 2 minus 6 is x to the negative 4. And as well as y squared minus 6 is y to the negative 4. And what we're going to have is a 1 as well. I'm going to keep simplifying. So now remember the rule from before. If we want to make it positive exponents, because we want to make sure this is in simplest terms and that this is in positive, we're going to move this back to the denominator by dividing it by itself. So what we're going to get is, remember there's a 1 in front of all of these. So we're going to have 1 times 1 in the numerator. And then we're going to divide it by x to the 4th. And there's also 1 here. X to the 4th and y to the 4th. So our final answer is 1 times 1 is 1. And this one we don't have to rewrite it, but we're going to get x to the 4th and y to the 4th. So this is our final answer. And the way we can check it, for at least for multiplication in a sense, also for division, is by, let's rewrite this in terms like this. So x squared is basically saying x times x, right? And x cubed is saying x times x times x. So there's 5 x's, hence why the final answer is x to the 5th. So that's why we add exponents in multiplication. Let's try for division. So for division, let's try with this easier example up here. So we have y squared and y to the 3rd power is what? So we're going to get y times y divided by y times y times y. Well, 2 of these y's canceled out because y divided by y and y divided by y. And when we replace it, it's gonna be a 1, right? So it's gonna be a placeholder of 1. So we're gonna rewrite this as 1 times 1 divided by y. Then 1 times 1, isn't that just 1 divided by y? So that's the way we can check, and that's how you know that this rule works. So I hope this video was helpful for all of you. Have an amazing rest of your day.